Not that I like to say I told you so, but I did told you so. And we'll get into that in more detail in a while. Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Viewpoint, the Brian Heeraman podcast. This is episode number 31. And what an interesting week we've had. What a long week. So much took place. I have so much points in front of me. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to get to everything. I like to maintain my, short time period to knock off everything. But you forgive me if I go over a little bit because I really want to get into everything. And there are some things that we need to discuss. And, you know, I guess it's sort of a taboo because no one's talking about it, but I have raised it before and I think I want to raise it again, but this time I want to go more in depth into it. But before we get into everything, before we dive into everything, allow me to do some housekeeping. Let me welcome back all my old listeners and a special welcome to my new listeners, and to remind everyone that this podcast is available on all major podcasting apps. That is including iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Twitter, and for our international friends out here, this podcast is available on Spotify, so you can check us out. So, as I was saying, what an interesting week we've had. I mean, with the death of Andrea Barrett, I mean, the funeral took place, and there was an outpouring of support throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. It's something that I've never seen before, and I think for the most part, it unified Trinidad and Tobago was everyone was so upset, so horrified about the death of this young lady. I myself, I mean, I'm not quite sure why so much people were so taken back about it. I mean, people were taken back about Ashanti Riley, Pixie Lakan, and a whole bunch of other women who were sadly, brutally murdered. But for this particular incident, I think a lot more people were aggrieved and were angry about this one. And they came out in their numbers. There were candlelight vigils, there were candlelight vigils are in front of the Red House. There were less enough lanterns after her death and stuff. It was a consistent outrage that took place, and I think that's for part of it. It was refreshing to know that Trinidad and Tobago still, we still care. We still have some level of what can I say, compassion for abuse against women. But it's interesting. We're gonna get into this now. We have to talk about this in depth. But having said that, Andrea Barrett passed away, and I'm pretty sure she's in a better place right now. But what is grabbing my attention, and what grabbed my attention from the last podcast, which I raised as well, something took place over the weekend. Um, it was it was a, a report from the Express newspaper about how these two accused people who were in police custody and how they die. Now, the Express newspapers, let me just say, Denise Wren, she did an excellent job in terms of how she came about and she did an expose in terms of how these men were treated. And I read this article, and yes, Andrea Barrett did murder me, but for someone who believes in the system, in the rule of law, and innocent until proven guilty, that article left a lot to be desired. And I'm going to have to read some clippings from that article because you have to understand what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. What is going on as it relates to, and you have heard me mention this before. You have heard me mention my thoughts on this Commissioner of Police under his stewardship. What is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago? We are not moving towards law and order now. We are moving towards law and disorder, law and the order of a few people, law and where what they say goes. Now, Denise Ryan, going back to the article and how she talked, as you know, there were two men in police custody and they both died. But they didn't just die. Don't listen to Gary and one of them fall off a chair. They were police brutality. Basically, they were murdered. According to Morris lawyer, who's one of the men who died in police custody, he was murdered. That's what the attorney is saying. You have to listen to some of these lines that Denise Ryan said. Listen to this one. Arriving at Morris home in a convoy of black and white, heavily tinted SUVs, SWAT officers proceeded to mercilessly beat an unarmed Morris in front of his yard while interrogating him on the whereabouts of Barrett. She said, mercilessly beat. And she's not just saying this from the top of her head. Hear what she's saying. Video footage seen by the Sunday Express contradicts statements by the police commissioner Gary Griffith via media release and media conference on February 2 that Morris immediately began to act violently while the attempt was made to arrest him. Hear what she said. Listen to this piece, it's important. During his arrest attempt, Morris resisted. Morris reportedly fell on the ground, and in so doing caused an officer to fall. Morris continued to struggle with officers and resisted efforts to subdue him. That's what the commissioner of police is saying. But according to the video footage shows a bareback Morris exiting his home dressed in a boxers. He was instructed to lie face down on the ground with his hands at the back of his head. He complied. That's what the video footage is showing now. The footage went on to say, taken at the frontal angle seen by the Sunday Express. So they're basically confirming what they're reporting here. Seen by the Sunday Express on February 10 shows SWAT officers ceaselessly beating Morris while he lay on the ground, repeatedly asking him about the whereabouts of the girl. Now, the beating lasted over 45 minutes. 45 minutes, during which Morris at times curled himself in the fetal position. You hear the language? You hear what was actually taking place? Morris curled himself into the fetal position, which with both hands covering the back of his head. At no time did he appear to offer any physical resistance. Folks, we are a law-abiding society. We believe in the rule of law. We believe in innocent until proven guilty. What happened to Andrea Barrett was horrific by no stretch of the imagination. Don't get me wrong. But there's only one system that we have where you're taken to the court and you bring the evidence, and whatever outcomes, the judge, the juries of your peers, they are the ones who dictate your future and whatever happens. We do not, as a law-abiding society, as a society that believes in democracy and the rule of law, we do not ceaselessly beat people to death. Police officers, SWAT officers who are directly under the supervision of the Commissioner of Police, beat this man mercilessly to death. That's police brutality. That's murder. When this idiot of a commissioner of police comes and says to you that the man fall off the chair, making you want to believe that how he fall off a chair and die, this report contradicts. This report doesn't just contradict what the commissioner said. This report should scare you beyond. If you think what happened to Andrea Barrett was horrific, this is what horrific. We don't know. We don't know if this man was guilty yet, and we will never know because he has passed away now. Officers don't get to make a determination of guilt and innocence. That's for the judiciary to do. They bring the evidence, they charge you, and they bring it to the court. That's what they do. But you see, folks, the scary part about all this is that it's a pattern of behavior that is taking place under this commissioner of police. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. This commissioner of police is unfit for office. And it's high time that the powers that be, the people with some say, remove this man before he inflicts more harm to the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago. You think this is going to be the end of it? The Law Association thankfully is calling for international investigators to investigate what transpired with these two men. International investors looking upon Trinidad and Tobago and seeing at how we have a rogue police service. You think they're going to put their money in Trinidad and Tobago? They know that today is for Morris and for whoever. Tomorrow could very well be for them. If they don't like what you do, they may very well roll up in your house and do the same damn thing. This is a pattern of behavior that we've been witnessing for quite some time. This is just video footage that shows what has transpired. Sorry. And while hear this next statement, and all the while, Morris is screaming at the officers, "I don't know anything about the girl. I just rent cars." They beat this man to death. And according to Morris, he was innocent. We don't know otherwise. Like I said, innocent until proven guilty. But if you think that is bad enough, hear this. On Monday, February 1st, Morris was pronounced dead at 12:45 a.m. at the Heeraman Health Facility. On Wednesday, February 3rd, relatives were told of his death when police officers from the Victim Support Unit visited their home. You see the difference in date, February 1st and February 3rd, when the family was informed? And the idiot Gary Griffith on February 3rd said Griffith claimed Morris fell from a chair and died. He's coming back now. Apparently, I saw somewhere else David Nackett is saying that's how he's calling for investigation and he's questioning the circumstances. And now the police service is attacking Senator Nackett for asking questions about what happened to Morris. Can you imagine that? Commissioner Griffith, this commissioner of police, is making this police service into a political party, into a political football. They are attacking law-abiding citizens for asking questions. What you're witnessing here, what happened to Morris, is the long arm of the state to pressure innocent people. That's what they're doing. That's what this commissioner of police is using these police resources for. You may think it's far-fetched, but nothing is far-fetched. History has shown that when it happens, it eventually comes to your doorstep. It's only a matter of time. If we, the population, don't say something, don't act up and call for full transparency and full investigation to get to the bottom of what took place, this is just going to get worse. But as I mentioned, it's a pattern of behavior of the long arm of the state coming after you. Here is next one. We dealing with Gary today now. We have to deal with Gary today again. Because he positions himself in these scenarios. So we have to analyze them. As I've said. Here is one. Cops warn producer after post on Barrett. And here what the police officer saying, don't aggravate the commissioner of police. Really? You can't say nothing against Commissioner Griffith. You go aggravate him, he will get angry, and he will come for you. And that's exactly what he did. Here it is. A music producer, Alan Brizan, told Newsday he was still not sure why his interaction with the head of the police on his social media would lead to such a warning. So apparently, Alan Brizan made some statements on, I believe, in a Facebook post whereby he was questioning what took place with regards to Andrea Barrett and how police officers apparently, well, he had some interesting point of views, and the commissioner of police decided that obviously you all know Gary Griffith is not busy. This commissioner is not busy. He has all the time in the world to do whatever he wants. So he took it upon himself to respond to Alan Brizan Facebook post. Here he says, it seems that you have some vital information regarding police officers compromising the investigation. Seeing that you have made a public comment like this, then you should be more than willing to meet with the PCA and the Police Professional Standards Bureau to then submit a report to deal with these elements. Folks, this commissioner of police is an idiot by no stretch of the imagination. So apparently, Brizan said he was visited by the police officers, right? He made adjustments, I suppose, but he was still visited. Professional Standard Bureau officers visited a private citizen for making a post on Facebook after being instructed to visit this private citizen by the Commissioner of Police. That's what he's doing. So here's Gary Griffith's justification. In the post the individual made, certain statements accusing officers included myself. These were serious allegations which must be investigated, as no one's above the law, including myself. I immediately contacted the PSP, Professional Standard Bureaus, that is, and given the nature of the case involved, they acted with haste. Griffith said the right to freedom of speech must be balanced with responsibility. Well, for your information, Commissioner of Police, responsibility, that's between me, you, and every other citizen. What I choose to give you to act responsible or not, that's my thing. That is not the law. I don't have to act responsible once I don't break the law. I can say what the hell I want to say. This is freedom of speech. If you don't like it, go to the courthouse and take out whatever judicial application you want and come after me. You can't send your officers to quiet me down because I oppose to you. I'm a critic of your point of view or what you're doing or what you're not doing for that matter, because you don't do damn nothing for us. Because like I've said in my last episode, billions of dollars spent on the police, and we have literally nothing to show for it. We give them nice cars, we give them whatever they want, they drive about, and all they do is they charge us for mask and for traffic offences. They can't find murderers, they can't find kidnappers, they can't find robbery suspects. They didn't even know Pridel lastly nothing. Look at what happened with regards to intelligence and Andrea Barrett. They searching fishing pond area in San Grande and the girl in a repo with other buddies apparently. But this commissioner of police has time to send PSB officers, professional standard bureau officers, to investigate private citizens. Like I said, there's a pattern of behavior of the long arm of the state to suppress and oppress the people who have different points of views, especially as it relates to this commissioner of police. As I mentioned, the long arm of the state. But it doesn't end there. No, it doesn't end there. There's more. You see, in another article too I read, I believe this one is from where this one from? This one is from the Newsday, I believe it was, where the commissioner of police, his next friend, his next, what was his name? It's Superintendent Roger Alexander. Yeah, that's what hear what Roger Alexander has to say. I was looking for it. Sorry if I got off a little quiet there. But here what Roger Alexander said. According to Superintendent Roger Alexander, Carnival is cancelled. Police plan to hunt down revelers. You hear the language that they're using? According to Senior Superintendent Roger Alexander, and I'm quoting from an article here, I believe it is from the Newsday. Sorry if I get the newspaper wrong. According to Superintendent Roger Alexander, co-host of the TV's Beyond the Tape, sorry, this is from the Express, yes. All arms of Trinidad and Tobago police service will be out to crack down on feds. They could crack down on feds. That's what they could crack down on. You see, wherever law-abiding citizens gather, police have the most amount of power. They come in after you with the most amount of force. But don't take my word for it. Hear what Superintendent Roger Alexander has to say. The guy who went up the ranks, who studied so hard, passed all the exam above and beyond all his juniors, and was promoted from Sergeant Alexander all the way to superintendent, because this guy's brilliant. Brilliant, above and beyond everybody else. Hear what your brilliant superintendent said. No one talks about these things, It's amazing. He said, first of all, the GEB, which is Guard and Emergency Branch, intends to move the full arms. Hear it, huh? Hear the full arms for law-abiding citizens. Full arms, tasers, rubber bullets, tear gas, handcuffs, batons, and weapons. Now, God knows whatever weapons he mean, but whatever. Sometimes you have no choice but to force compliance. If it is allowed to continue, we will have a city, well, I guess he meant no city, a country that is lawless and without governance. And to those who intend to test the waters, Alexander said they will drown. Well, we know that. Ask Morris. Morris drowned, right? So the rest of us too, if we come out and we try to do something, dance that tune or something, yeah, we might drown too. What do you intend to do? Which one are you going to use? Tear gas or handcuffs? Tasers? What is the other weapons? You plan to shoot them too? But that's not your style. From what we've seen so far, police brutality is not your style. Yeah, and if it wasn't bad enough that this guy would use such insane language, he now becomes an employer. Alexander called on employers to ensure that all workers report for duties on Monday, Tuesday, and Ash Wednesday next week. Well, he meant this week, because I'm doing this podcast late. If I'm an employer, persons who stayed home Monday and Tuesday of next week, I will fire you. We have a situation where you are trying to stand up on your own and you want to go on flex. If flex means so much to you, I will make you unemployed flexer for a long time. Folks, senior superintendent, sorry, he's not a senior, he's superintendent, whatever he is a rogue police officer. This is the type of officers you want to stay far away from. This is the type of police officer who you don't want to have any part of his service. They bring the service down. They make you trust less in what's going on. You don't want no part of this. You don't want these type of individuals in your police service. You see the language that they're using, it is scary language because you know what comes next. The folks, the people understand in Trinidad and Tobago what is taking place. They know what's going on. They know it's a scary thing that's happening. But going back to the pattern of behavior, and like I said, from the beginning of this podcast, I told you so because we've mentioned about Gary Griffith numerous times. This is just a culmination of all his behavior, a pattern that I'm showing you, and only as of the last week. So Griffith's new target now is the Law Association. Apparently, he believes that the lawyers shouldn't be representing criminals. And the Law Association apparently made a response to him and said, oh, you know what, you do your job, let me do our job, because as far as like I keep saying, innocent until proven guilty, we all deserve our day in court, regardless of what. We deserve our day in court. The crimes may be horrific, but we deserve our day in court. That is the system that we believe in, that is the system that we support. That is what separates us from the criminals out there, from the murderers out there. Because we believe in the rule of law. They don't. We give them the opportunity to defend themselves, to justify what they have done, and the law takes its course. That's what makes us different. We don't take the laws into our hands. We don't become the criminals to solve the crime. Griffith is fighting now the Law Association because they are standing up for what is right. And the reason why he's fighting them for is because of the fact that the lawyers go to court and they make the police look stupid. If you, as the commissioner of police, don't train your officers how to bring evidence to the court, then obviously there are smart lawyers out there who are going to go to court and get your cases thrown out. But that's their job, that's their duty, that's what they do. Your job is to bring the criminals to justice. Their job is to defend people or prosecute people, regardless of what it is. That's what they do. You can't be angry with them for doing their job. We can be angry with you for not doing your job. For you not having the ability to bring proper case, to bring proper evidence, and for your officers to even show up in court. That's what we can be angry with. Because do you know how many cases going on for years because the police officers just don't show up in court? It's amazing what is taking place in this country. But according to PSB, don't aggravate the commissioner of police. I wonder if I might get a visit within the next couple of days if the commissioner hear this podcast. I may very well do. But then other people may very well also get visits as well. Is that what we're going down? Is that the road we're going down? This is like Gestapo Germany years ago in World War. They don't like you, they send the police officer for you. Are we going to start seeing bloggers start disappearing now? Is that what's going to happen? When we don't agree with you, you send your henchmen for us? This is wrong on so many different levels, and we have to stand up for it. But going back to the whole issue of Andrea Barrett, I mean, it's interesting that how the Prime Minister didn't attend the funeral. Apparently, he didn't want to attend the funeral because apparently his excuse is that the opposition leader was going to be there, so there's a reason for him not to attend. 500 odd businesses shut down the operations to protest what took place with regards to Andrea Barrett and to ask the powers that be to do more to solve crimes. But how do they respond? By saying that if you go to FET, if you have mass, they're coming after you with the full arm of the state, including weapons. That's how they respond to you. The Prime Minister should have attended Andrea Barrett's funeral. I mean, regardless of what the reasons are, I think the population needs to know that there's compassion out there. Not just from the normal folk on the ground, but across the board. People need to have a proper understanding that the powers, that those in authority, that they care, but they understand, they have compassion for what's taking place. But when you sit in your soft chair in your air-conditioned office, just acting as though nothing is wrong, it sends a wrong message. And I think that the Prime Minister needs to take that into consideration for future. But more on the Prime Minister later on, as it relates to other members of his cabinet and their behavior. I want to talk on something different. I want to talk about the economy. You all know I love to talk about the economy. So apparently, the finance minister has now admitted that the Trinidad and Tobago economy is in total peril. So what I want to know is, since when? Since when the economy is in peril? So as of ending January of 2021, he ended up with $1.8 billion less revenue. So he jumped up and said, "So the trend of the economy is in peril. We need to do things differently." But only for the last 4 months, this finance minister realized this economy is in peril. I mean, just this $1.8 billion. What about consistent running budget deficits? That didn't alert you that's how something was wrong with the economy. What about the fall in commodity prices, oil and gas, or all those different things, ammonia, methanol? That didn't tell you something? Or how about the debt to GDP ratio being in excess of 80%? How about the consistent borrowing over and over and over? What about the total disappearance of foreign currency? Only a few well thought out, single established businesses are the ones allowed to get foreign currency. That didn't give the indication to the finance minister that how this economy is in some dire trends or something needs to be done. But yet you could continually buy all sorts of different things without paying attention to what's going on. So now apparently they're borrowing, they're borrowing uncontrollably. They're borrowing from the Heritage and Civilization Fund. They're borrowing from directly from the economy itself in terms of banks and wherever they could get people to lend their money from, and they're borrowing not not just for capital expenditure, but to pay public servants' salary. Now that is what you need to be worried about, because if they're borrowing to pay public servants' salary, like that cannot continue forever. It will not continue forever. You see, this finance minister, for consecutive budgets, fool the population, fool the folks by letting them believe that everything is okay. Whether they did it for campaign promises or for election promises or for whatever, it is the chickens are now coming home to roost. The truth is about to show itself, and it will even show itself further when they attempt to deal with WASA, TNTech, the Port Authority, and wherever other they go to reduce the spending. They are already saying that they can't afford to pay public servants a wage increase. But you can take a wage increase, right? The government can take a wage increase. It doesn't matter the principle of how much the government wage increase is compared to the public sector wage increase. It's the principle that matters. You have to be down with the principle to understand what's going on. Because if the public servants can't take a salary increase, then you shouldn't be able to take one either. Like I said, the principle is what makes everything work. If you don't stand for something, then you'll fall for everything. And that's what people need to understand. That's why the folks, I think I think they're awakening to that point. They're beginning to understand that, and especially my friend um, Corey Shepard from the Corey Shepard podcast. You guys should check Corey Shepard out as well. He's available on the same platforms that my podcast is available. He mentioned to me that how maybe it's because people have more time at home. Maybe it is that we're just talking generally that how they focusing more on social media that they can see what's going on and their eyes are open. I guess it's one aspect of it. But whatever it is, the population eye is open now and they're beginning to see truth from false. So I want to talk about something else now. I want to talk about I like to end my podcast episodes on something funny. I'm not quite sure if this is funny or not, but Fitzgerald Hines. What is this guy? The minister of something. I mean, I'm ashamed to say it's something to deal with youth and entrepreneurs or whatever, but this guy, what what is the real scenario with regards to Fitzgerald Lines? This is the same man who said that how someone approached his vehicle and asked for, I think it was $10. I dealt with that in some previous episode, and Fitzgerald Hines decided not to give him and he drove away feeling proud. Well, that same Fitzgerald Hines. Hear him again. Hear him again. He is now saying that how he's now saying that how my information, I guess this is a Facebook post by the way. My information is that Kamla Prasad Bisessa has either decided to storm or has been invited to the funeral of a victim of the horrific kidnapping and murder matter that has gripped our attention for the past few days, and that she's expected to speak. But that is not the concerning part. Yeah, he said storm or whatever, even though the opposition leader was invited. We of the PNM always observe and practice high standards and dignity. Remember those words are high standards and dignity. We refuse to descend. That's the next thing you should remember. We refuse to descend, he's saying, into the pits of using tragic incidents as an opportunity for political resurfacing. When that, remember he said, practice high standards and dignity, and we don't descend. Hear what he said then. We refuse to descend into the pits of using tragic events as an opportunity for political resurfacing. When that drunken and deceitful woman faced 11 murders in 1 week, she did not attend a single funeral. There were no vigils. Ashanti Riley family and the nation suffered our pain with quiet, painful dignity. Where were these hypocrites of the UNC? Now, if there's one thing that we have learned, not just from Andres Barrett murder, but from Ashanti Riley murder as well, even going way back to Pixie Lacan's murder, is that when it comes to dealing with women in Trinidad and Tobago, we need to show a lot more compassion. We need to watch our language. But Fitzgerald Hines, he's not alone in what he's thinking by calling the opposition leader drunken and deceitful. And there were no vigils. Ashanti Riley's family and the nation suffered our pain. What does he mean by our pain? Who's our? Who's our? What is he trying to identify there? What road is he going down? When someone is murdered, it's not a our thing, it's a nation thing. Everyone feels it. And the murder of Andrea Barrett showed that. I don't understand what you mean by there were no vigils. Ashanti Riley's family and the nation suffered our pain with quiet. But beyond that, this Fitzgerald Hines, this minister, his behavior pattern stems from the leader of the government. You remember when the prime minister talks about the opposition leader has been a drunken and what she drink this time, and how he speaks about women in general, like golf courses and need to be groomed and whatnot. It's a pattern of behavior. And sadly, again, not that I'd like to say I told you so, but I did told you so with regards to this as well. These people have a pattern of behavior that is unbecoming of leadership roles in this country. But that's what it is. And if you think they want to protect women, that next one who can't win an election, Clarence Rambrat, who said that pepper spray is more deadly than a firearm. Well, if he say that, then that is that, and then give every woman firearm, then let them protect themselves because it's not pepper spray one. They went to Parliament and they passed a law that makes it not possible for a woman to get pepper spray via a license. Yeah. If it's one thing that's a joke, that's a joke. How does it take you to get a firearm right now? There's a license, and you can get any firearm now? No. Do you think that's how they're gonna make getting a pepper spray even easier for you now with this license? It's gonna be that whole pepper spray scenario is going to die a slow, sudden, but natural death. Until the next woman, God forbid, is murdered and then it's gonna come back up again. Because they have no intentions. They don't want to. They don't want to protect. They don't care. That's what it is. That's what all boils down to. Their behavior shows it. Like I said, it's a pattern of behavior. And it's sad. It's sad what's taking place. But like I said, ending the podcast on a funny note. I mean, that wasn't very funny. Let's try again. Let's try again. So, Senator Paul Richards said that to ban cigarettes. He wants to ban all cigarettes, because he don't like cigarettes. But I mean, cigarettes? Why so we ban cigarettes but we leave marijuana okay? Does that make any logical sense? I mean, these people, I sometimes wonder if they don't think before they come up with these brilliant ideas. They clearly don't really rehearse their statements in their minds and say, how is this going to sound when I come up with these statements? But that's what it is. They want to ban cigarettes. Forget the jobs and everything that's created. Forget the ability for choice, the individual choice to smoke a cigarette or not to smoke a cigarette, to drink a beverage, alcoholic beverage that is, or not to drink an alcoholic beverage. Forget choice. Let's let the government decide for you what we do. The government decides, but leave marijuana. The government decide marijuana okay, but now we decide, folks, there's something called individual choice. That's what makes us free. The ability to choose what's right and wrong, the ability to choose what we want to do. And if Senator Paul Richards, as an independent, or you know what I think about independent senators, as an independent senator doesn't understand that, then we're in a worse position than we can even possibly imagine. But let's end it on that point, on that note for now. I mean, there are a couple other points that I want to raise, um, but like I said, my time is running out and I don't want to go too long. So, as I mentioned, I launched this podcast late. The fact is that I did do this podcast on a Sunday night, but oh my God, the cloud just gives so much problem to load this podcast that so much crazy things took place in such a short space of time. So I'm now getting this podcast ready for you guys. And forgive me if it have any background noise, like like people talking, that kind of thing. My neighbor is not having a party, and I am not attending the party that he's having right now. That he's not having, sorry, right now. So forgive the little voice in the background. Until then, until episode number 32, stay tuned and stay safe.